Hey, girl. So we here again. What's up? We finna have an honest conversation. Listen, relationship or no? Or have you been unfortunate and unlucky in love and you've always found yourself in situationships? Let's figure this out. All right, so look, y'all know I'm a licensed cosmetologist or whatever, and y'all know we talk about pretty much any and everything around the salon, and we've been having every conversation under the sun because of all of the goings on of the world. And relationships is something that just popped up today, um, this Saturday morning. Listen, Monique was having a conversation with TS. And in that interview, she was talking about how she had her husband, Uncle Sid, and he, stands with her in everything that she's been through, which is, some honorable stuff right there. Something that I've always seen my dad do when it comes to my mom in certain situations, right? So she was naming off all the other actresses who are completely single, who don't have nobody to stand in front of them. They're fighting for themselves. And that's why, situations go the way that they go, right? And she mentioned Auntie Viola Davis, and she was like, well, I don't know. She was like, I don't know their relationship. She wasn't saying nothing against it. She just said that when Auntie Viola gets out there and she's vocal and she has to fight and talk about, the lack of pay and all that stuff, she's talking about it. Her husband is not, next to her or whatever. That's what she was saying. And so you had so many people jump in the comments, and you could tell it's a lot of unhealed people in this thing called the world that we live in. And it's a lot of fatherless women who don't have relationships with their fathers, and their parents didn't have good relationships. They've never seen a man be a man, so they have like a warped sense of reality. And respectfully, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I always felt this, and I know this for a fact because I have cousins and family. There is a difference between women who grew up with a father and women who didn't grow up with one. There's a difference. Like there's a difference with men who grew up with a good relationship with their mother, a healthy relationship, not like a codependent, crazy Mama D kind of situation. Not that, but a healthy relationship with their mom. There is a difference between the behaviors and just the emotional intelligence, and then just the interaction with, other people. You know what I mean? So I saw so much of that in the comments, and we had such a good conversation this morning with my first set of braids this morning. I've been doing a lot of braiding here lately. My first set of braids this morning. So we were talking about it, and I realized, like my client said, she kind of teared up and she was like, you have a real father. She was like, the things you just shared with me, she was like, these are not things that I ever was told. Right. So she had like a kind of like an aha moment, like, damn, like, okay, this is reality. And she was saying, like, she realizes from our conversation a lot of wrong turns that she took in different relationships. And I'm one of those kind of women, like, I'm an accountability kind of woman. Like, I stand on business. And my pops and my uncles just was always so present. My goddads, shout out to y'all. Shout out to my goddad Blue, love you, around the city, Park Village. Um, it's like, I was raised like a boy. Hear me out. I was raised like a boy. So when I say that, I mean, my father, he didn't hold no punches. Like, he literally taught me everything, and he exposed me to different types of men through my uncles. Like, he would take me around my different uncles to show me examples of what he was explaining to me, right? And shout out to my Uncle Shannon, who is just a hoe. He is a ho, no Santa child, baby. He is, whew, I don't even know how he still be getting these women, just tricking them. Just tricking them. I be like, Lord, they on the sick and shut in list, the weak and the wounded child. I be like, how y'all be believing anything come out of his mouth? He is a liar. Y'all don't see he a liar, like he a scheme and a baby. When I tell you, I got an uncle, my Uncle Shannon. We call him. Listen, Uncle S, he baby, he be coming up with some outrageous things. Outrageous. I'm talking. He's a piece of work. But my father like exposed me to the different types of men that he was explaining to me. And thank God, he come from, eight brothers, and then, I got more than 14 uncles from both sides of the family with him. So I was exposed to a lot early, and I used to get mad, like, I don't know nobody that gotta learn all this stuff because my daddy was like, no joke, like militant about it. And my father would always tell me, like, I'm never gonna let you end up like the women you see growing up around you. You will not end up with these problems. I will not allow it. He was like, that will be my biggest failure in life for my daughter to end up like the women around her growing up. He was like, I don't want that for you. He was like, so these are things that you have to learn and know. And he was like, baby, it's going to make sense later in life as you get older. And I'll be damned if he wasn't 100% right, y'all. Like, um, I honestly, full disclosure, I have not been through half of the things that my, family, friends, clients have been through. Like, I just be looking at people like, what? And then I'm always on the other end of it. I'm like, how did you even believe that from the get-go? Like, what? Like, you don't know that. And I have to step back and realize that people were not raised like me. They didn't have, fathers like I have. Like they don't have that. So they weren't exposed to, you know, the harsh realities when it comes to men. My father always taught me that men are natural predators. Men, they know who they can hit, who they can't hit. They know right off top who they're going to have to bring their A game for. They know who they're going to have to walk upright and be a stand-up dude for. And then they know the ones that they can play with. That they can literally play with, that they can twist, turn them into anything that they want them to be. The girls that say, I just want to be the girl you like. Those kind of girls. My father was like, you will never be that. He was like, I don't care how old you get. You will never go through these things. You will never embarrass me like that. And he was like dead serious. He was dead serious. And to give y'all a little background, baby, my daddy is 6'6", 6'6", and built. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Okay, so yeah, I always understood that he meant business, and he didn't waste any time explaining to me, the difference. And I look around and I wonder, you know, when I look around at my peers and different friends who've been through different things, I always can know, like, right off bat, okay, she didn't have a dad. She didn't have a dad, she didn't have a relationship. So look, with all that being said, I know that was a bit of a word salad, but listen, write these questions down and like answer them later. Or like if you one of those like me, you can do everything in your head. Like answer the questions in your head. And these are general, gender neutral. So listen. First question, do you have a relationship with your father? Second, how's your relationship with your mother? Remember, these are gender neutral, boy or girl. Have you ever been loved properly? Do you actually know what real love is and what it actually feels like? Do you have emotional intelligence? Do you take accountability or do you have accountability issues? That's a big one. Are you okay with being alone? Are you okay with being your own company? Do you have an idea of what you want in a relationship? Have you ever taken time after breakups and analyzed your past relationship to find the common thread and the common area that each relationship went wrong? Most times it's around the same time, and most times it's similar relationship issues. Now, those are the questions. You can answer them in your head, or you can write them down and answer them out later after listening to this. Now, keeping it real, okay? I've sat down. I have a thing that I do after each breakup. I always sit down and I have like a little kind of like a map or whatever. And I think I'm gonna put these together and kind of pass the knowledge off to you guys. I told you guys I had a lot of plans for this channel. And so, I'll have a couple of workbooks and stuff like that to sell to you guys. Reasonably priced. I am not, trying to rob y'all like a lot of people, but and stuff that actually will help y'all. So back to it. I like after every relationship, I sit down and I do what my dad taught me, years ago when I was like, oh, I was like 13, 14, 15, like learning all this. um, I analyze the relationship and I figure out, where the relationship went wrong. I take accountability for my parts of it going wrong. And ironically, my relationships end around the same time for the same exact for the same exact reason. And this is because I know myself. And this is another thing, another question to add. Do you actually know yourself? Do you know exactly who you are? That's the one that I forgot. Because my dad always says that. That's the one that I forgot. But I know exactly who I am. So I always know um where the relationships went wrong. Like I'm always like fully aware. And yeah. Um I've full disclosure, I've been proposed to a couple of times. I have said no. Each time I was proposed to by, two people more than one time on separate occasions. And yes, I do still have the rings. Yes, I do. Hey, possession is 9/10 of the law. Argue with your mammy, not with me, because they ain't getting ish back. You give it to me, you ain't getting nothing back. Nothing. Nathaniel, rest in peace, Nate Dog. This is a fact. Okay. Now, back to it, back to the questions. I have a question though. Have you ever had a real relationship, or do you find yourself in situationships? And this is just for the women. Do you find yourself settling for less? Do you know your actual worth? And women, are you leading with your wallet? Are you able to let a man be a man? Remember, that's how Auntie Vivica lost 50. Real talk. And as women, do you take accountability as a woman for dealing with a trifling man? You know what I mean? And then you are wondering why the relationship fell apart when you know, like, it was built on mud, so it was meant to fall. Like, translation, from the get go, he was trifling. As women, we know things. We know things. We have the intuition. We can look at him and we know he's trifling. But some of us like a project. Are you a woman that likes a project? Do you like a fixer upper? Do you treat a man like old house? Do you like to, fix him up? Fix him up to, see if you can make him better. You know what I mean? Are you that kind of woman? And are you the woman that allows a man to degrade and disrespect his ex? Are you that woman? Okay? Because that only shows you are giving a prequel to what you gonna be dealing with later. Sierra, anybody? When she was with a Future, now her past? Real questions. Um, these are all things that, you can ask yourself, you know, after the fact, after you listen to this. Um, I always, for my women, are you able to handle the truth? Are you able to handle a real man that comes into your life and he wants to love you and he is willing to work because he sees the great woman that you could be and he's trying to help you get there, and he sees the fight? Are you the woman that can't let your guard down? Because honestly, I've been there. I've been there. I'll be clear. I understand like the not trusting, because a lot of these dudes is not trustworthy. Like, come on now. We know what be happening. We know they trifling. Okay. But have you ever found yourself in a situation where, you lost a good guy? You lost a good guy from your own, personal issues. And for women, have you been to therapy, and are you one of those over therapized is what I call them. That's a word. Over therapy, like you done had too much therapy. People be out here just diagnosing themselves. There's so many fake autistic people walking around here right now, child. Like, are you one of those? Do you take the therapy too damn far? There's a difference. Now I know I got a lot of, questions in here. I'm gonna share with y'all a little bit. I didn't want this video to be too long, but we had 12 minutes, so I'm gonna try to, cut it and probably do a part two. Listen, my mom, my mom was really, really strong, like strong-willed, and just didn't take no ish from nobody, especially a man. So I've seen both sides. I've seen both sides of the fence. When my parents broke, they ended up marrying opposite other people and were completely miserable without the other person because they actually loved each other, all the way up until my mom's death. And now, my father's still living, my dad that raised me, and he he's missing a part of him, you could tell, but they had been around each other since they was like kids, like, preteens, you know what I mean? Do you, as a woman, have you witnessed good, healthy relationships before? Because sometimes you don't know it unless you've physically seen it, you know? I mean, you don't know if how to experience it because you've never physically seen it. That's a thing too. Um, are you, as women, and this is I'm talking to women because I am a woman, okay? As a woman, are you afraid of love? That honest, open question, like answer that for yourself, and only you know that, because some of us have deep rooted trust issues that come from, family trauma. It comes from trauma of not having your dad. It's a tale as old as time. Like, I was always taught, your first relationship with a man, with a male, is literally your first relationship is your relationship with your dad. If that relationship is, tumultuous, or broken, or however that turns out, that kind of shapes how you interact with men for the rest of your life. Like how it's a cliche, but the girl with the daddy issues, you know what I mean? It's a cliche. Are you that girl? Do you have like those issues? And if you know you have them, are you openly, setting yourself up to deal with those, or have they kind of plagued your life? You know what I mean? I wonder. And this is just, talking out loud, open. This is a safe space. I hope you hear this and like you can relate a little bit, and drop down in the comments, and you know let me know if share your thoughts, share your your feelings about this video. I will tell you all this. um My dad was always 100% present, and he always taught me, you know, look for, he said number one, you don't be out there looking for love, he said, because authentic love will find you. It will happen organically. And he said, when you out there looking and searching, you gonna find something that the last chick done threw to the trash, and you picking up the trash and dusting it off and taking it home with you. And you don't like germs. And that's something that he would tell me, because I'm a whole germaphobe. Like, I'm like a super neat freak. And remember, I do hair. Okay, so my dad was just always really, really straightforward with me. And I will tell y'all this. I have never dealt with a man that has issues with his mom. I've never dealt with a man that has issues with his mom, that has like a bad relationship with his mom, or a non-existent relationship, um or a bad relationship with the woman who raised him, may it be his grandmother or his aunt, an older cousin, whoever was the woman in his life that raised him. If he has a bad relationship with that woman, I've never dealt with a man like that. I've never dealt with a man who degrades and disrespects his child's mother. If he has kids and the first thing out of his mouth is this bleep 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 bleep, this bleep, I don't do that. I don't do that at all, because I feel like the child's mother should always be respected no matter what the situation is. That is something that my father taught me, with how he interacted with my mother, because my mother wasn't easy all the time, to handle. My mother was vindictive at times, and mean, downright mean. And um she was on her get back. You know what I'm saying, baby? I got a mama come out that little Kim era, child. She was on her get back. She just was not the easiest to deal with. And I'll tell you this, women, I don't have respect for men who use the thing, oh, they mama, I don't see my kids because of they mama, da, da, da. I don't have respect for that, and I don't deal with men who do that, because they are cowards and they are betas, as my father taught me. I deal with bosses only, and I don't deal with men who do that, because that's an excuse. It's just an excuse. My dad had some of the most tumultuous scenarios with my mom sometimes, but that never stopped him from being a father. I can never remember one time when he wasn't there. I can never remember one time where he didn't, break bread to make sure that I was okay, and my mother's other children. So I've only seen my father be a stand-up dude, but I got a West Coast daddy though. So, for anybody listening to this that, fathers come from other places, I got a West Coast daddy. West Coast men is a little different. Baby, they will take their child. You understand me? They will take their child. Baby, West Coast men comb hair, cook, clean, wash clothes, take their kids to school. They will, if they baby mama crazy, they will take their child. They say, hey, 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 we'll split up the holidays. You can come around here, see her on the weekend, but you got to go on. I'm gonna take my child till you figure it out. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to my cousin. I got, two cousins that got custody of their kids. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't come from men in my bloodline that are trash, that are like that don't, take care of their own. You know what I'm saying? That don't take care of their responsibilities. So when I'm dating from a strong standpoint of knowing what a man is. And I think a lot of us women get into situations where we're dating like we out there like free balling it. We out there, we done jumped out the sky without a parachute. We don't know, what's wrong and what's right. You know what I mean? I was one, my father was like, you never, allow a man to disrespect you, to, cuss you out and call you out kind of bitches. And da-da. I've never had a man say, oh, this is my bitch. I don't play that. I do not play that. And that's because of the way I was raised and what my father and my uncles taught me. That's disrespectful. That's disrespectful, and it shows a lack of care. And people may listen and say, "Oh, she old school, whatever." But honey, I've never been beat on. I've never been beat on. I've never had a man come live up in my house. None of that nonsense. I ain't never went for none of that. I ain't never been embarrassed down to the internets and things and fighting and girl, please. I ain't never went through none of that bullshit. None of it. None of it because I was trained a certain way and I can spot bullshit from the gate. That's part of the reason my daddy don't have no grandkids yet. Okay. Okay. That's part of the reason. Cause baby, I can't do it. And that's the last thing I'm gonna touch on before I close this video out. Cause I'm gonna like do a part 2 to this. Listen, y'all, and this is for women, and I don't want this to come off as harsh because understand, y'all, I'm a girl's girl. I am pro finish him, make him lose contact with his motherfucking self. You hear me? I am pro get him back for every woman in the world that's been dogged out. Finish him. I am that kind of girl. Okay. I am that girl. I am a girl's girl, like for real, okay? So don't get it messed up. But I was raised with, a pack of boys. So I understand the other side of the fence. And I'm the baby sister and the favorite homegirl to all my homeboys. You know what I mean? Like they'll do anything for me, and I do mean anything. So I'm that girl. So I understand both sides of the fence. But I put a lot of onus on us as women because we are, in my opinion, the stronger of the two. I feel like women are just strong and beautiful, and I feel like we are so intelligent, and I feel like sometimes we play ourselves small. So when you hear me say this next part, just know that it comes from a good place, and I just see us as the stronger, the mentally stronger um side of the coin, shall we say. Now, as women, um when we are ready to procreate, as my father always said, my mom did this right though with him. You have to give your child the best start in life. So we got to watch what we procreate with. Why would you go lay down and have a child with somebody who got 3, 4, 5 kids somewhere else, right? All these broken homes. And he talks bad about, the mothers, and he's disrespectful, and, he's not taking care of them. You know what I'm saying? If you got to do this, and this is another thing. If you're a woman and you dealing with a dude and he ride around, nice whip, Benz, he got the jury, whatever, whatever, all that. He has all of the things, but his baby mama is in Section 8 and you dealing with him, you need your head checked. You need your head checked. There's just no way around that. You need your head checked as a woman. As a woman, you shouldn't be dealing with no man like that because that shows you a level of stinginess and lack of care that is out of this world. My father was more on the comedian Courtney Wayne. That's the only reason that I respect him because he really understands that if that's your child's mother, they all need to live nice. They all need to have a house, car. They all need to be taken care of because they have your child. You know what I'm saying? So my father and uncles is on the Courtney Wayne type time, and they've always been there, you know. As a woman, we have to make better choices because we are procreating with these trifling bums. And remember, we are giving these people to our children. So we are giving our child their first heartbreak, their first deep pain that truly, I don't care how much therapy you get, it'll never go away. We giving them a fight. And as women, we have to stop that. We have to stop that. You know what I mean? And all these new laws is making us stop that because we sending out a message. We ain't having no kids now, okay? We sending out a message to these white men that think they can control our bodies. Bye. But real talk, as women, we have to, make better choices on who we, choose to lay down with and choose to procreate with. And I do look at us as the smarter of of the situation. I do feel that we have more brains than a man. I just do. I'm sorry. As a woman, I just do. I love us. And I just think we got more sense. And I think we have more common sense. And I think as women, we have a false sense of reality. We compartmentalize these men to be who we want them to be in our heads. And in real life and reality, they are the furthest thing from that. They trifling and low down. You knew he wasn't shit when you got pregnant. Like you knew he was trifling. You knew he had 3, 4, 5 kids that he ain't taking care of. You knew he's stingy, he's selfish, he's mentally immature. These are things that you knew you was dealing with it. And then you go and you have a baby with this person and you want this person to be perfect. You want this person to actually be a man. And then you're upset. You're upset and flipping out when he's not a man. Like, come on. Come on. Who's responsible for that? Now, yes, the man is responsible for his part for not being shit. But my father taught me this, and I'm going to close with this. As a woman, having a baby is a self choice. And hear me out, because a woman's life will change 100%. She will never be the same woman that she was before she got pregnant. That woman is gone. That woman don't exist anymore. Don't let nobody lie to you. Okay? A child is a lifelong commitment. You cannot reverse. It's there. Even if you give your child up for an adoption, that child is going to spiritually stay with you forever. Okay? And this is how my dad explained it to me. He was like, a man's life don't change at all. A man's life will change maybe 15 to 20% after becoming a father if, and this is the strong word, if he wants it to fucking change. If he wants it to change, okay? That's not something that normally that's not something that normally would happen. That's a strong if. You understand? And as a woman, we're stuck in the situation. We can never get out of it. You know what I mean? We are literally stuck in that particular situation. As being a mother, we are everything. We are everything to that child, and we are with that child forever. Our lives change. The man life only change if he wants it to. And most of the time, no. And so that's a lifelong choice that I have chosen not to make yet because I like options. I like to be able to throw shit back. And my daddy always explained it. He was like, baby, you can't run down to the hospital and get a baby back. He was like, you're stuck. He was like, so if you make that choice to make me a grandfather, you have to make peace with yourself that this is you. You are a single mother, period. My father always said, even if you are married, and respect to marriages and all that, but he just would tell the truth. He was like, even with you being married, he said, women are going to carry the heavier of the load when it comes to children. And he was like, that's just something that you have to make peace with. I hope I didn't offend anybody with some of my thoughts and things. I'm gonna do a part 2 to this video because there's so much more that I wanted to share when I wanted to say. I didn't want the video to get too long. It's almost 30 minutes and I was only supposed to be like 12 minutes, so I went over. But thank y'all for supporting me. Please hit the like button and please comment below and share and let me know what you guys thought about this. if you guys answered any of the questions for yourself. Did it make any sense to you? And, do you think that there's a difference between people that grew up with fathers and without fathers? Thank you.